Hello everyone, my name is Olivia Wolf and I am the Program Director at the Findlay YMCA. Today for our activity we are going to be doing a craft that you can use outside when you're going on your bear hunt around Findlay. We're going to make some binoculars, but we are also going to read a book called Corduroy. So we'll start with our book first and then we will move on to making our homemade binoculars. So the book again is called Corduroy. Corduroy is a bear who once lived in the toy department of a big store. Day after day he waited with all the other animals and dolls for somebody to come along and take him home. The store was always filled with shoppers buying all sorts of things, but no one ever seemed to want a small bear in green overalls. Then one morning, a little girl stopped by and looked straight into Corduroy's bright eyes. "Oh, Mommy," she said, "look, there's the very bear I've always wanted." "Not today, dear," her mother sighed. "I've spent too much already. Besides, he doesn't look new. He's lost the button to one of his shoulder straps." Corduroy watched them sadly as they walked away. "I didn't know I'd lost a button," he said to himself. "Tonight I'll go and see if I can find it." Late that evening, when all the shoppers had gone and the doors were shut and locked, Corduroy climbed carefully down from his shelf and began searching everywhere on the floor for his lost button. Suddenly, he felt the floor moving under him. Quite by accident, he stepped onto an escalator, and up he went. Could this be a mountain? He wondered. I think I've always wanted to climb a mountain. He stepped off the escalator as it reached the floor, and there, before his eyes, was the most amazing sight. Tables and chairs and lamps and sofas and rows of beds. "This must be a palace," Corduroy gasped. "I guess I've always wanted to live in a palace." He wandered around admiring the furniture. "This must be a bed," he said. "I've always wanted to sleep in a bed." And he crawled up onto a large, thick mattress. All at once he saw something small and round. "Why, here's my button!" he cried, and he tried to pick it up. But like all the other buttons on the mattress, it was tied down tight. He yanked and pulled with both paws until pop! Off came the button, and off the mattress Corduroy toppled, bang, into a tall floor lamp. Over it fell with a crash. Corduroy didn't know it, but there was someone else awake in the store. The night watchman was going in his rounds on the floor above. When he heard the crash, he came dashing down the escalator. "Now who in the world did that?" he exclaimed. "Somebody must be hiding around here." Flashed his light under and over sofas and beds until he came to the biggest bed of all. And there he saw two fuzzy brown ears sticking up from under the cover. "Hello," he said. "How did you get upstairs?" The watchman tucked Corduroy under his arm and carried him down the escalator. and set him on the shelf in the toy department with the other animals and dolls. Corduroy was just waking up when the first customer came into the store in the morning. And there, looking at him with a wide, warm smile, was the same little girl he'd seen only the day before. "I'm Lisa," she said, "and you're going to be my very own bear. Last night I counted what I've saved in my piggy bank, and my mother said I could bring you home." "Shall I put him in a box for you?" the sales lady asked. "Oh, no, thank you," Lisa answered, and she carried Corduroy home in her arms. She ran all the way up 4 flights of stairs into her family's apartment and straight to her room. Corduroy blinked. There was a chair and a chest of drawers, and alongside a girl-sized bed stood a little bed, just the right size for him. The room was small, and nothing like that enormous palace in the department store. "This must be home," he said. "I know I've always wanted a home." Lisa sat down with Corduroy on her lap and began to sew a button on his overalls. "I like you the way you are," she said, "but you'll be more comfortable with your shoulder strap fastened." "You must be a friend," said Corduroy. "I've always wanted a friend." "Me too," said Lisa, and gave him a big hug. And that is the end of our book. Now that we have read our book called Corduroy, we are going to make our homemade binoculars. And what I'm going to do before we make anything is list off the different items that you can use at home to make these. So for mine, I used 2 toilet paper rolls. If you have like a paper towel roll, you could cut that in half and it would work the same way as well. I used some paper that had a pattern on it, some polka dots. But if you don't have patterned paper, you could use white paper and draw on it and maybe put like stickers on it or glue on some little pieces of decorations. But you could also paint these or use markers too if you don't have paper at home. So whichever you would prefer to do. And then you will also need some scissors to cut your paper if you're going to use paper. You will need some tape to tape on the paper or glue. You could use glue as well. And then I have some string for my binocular cord and a hole punch that I will be using as well. So the first thing to start that you would want to do is if you're using paper, an 8 by 11 size piece of paper actually works really well, because what you'll do, the easiest way to cut these for the paper towel rolls is I am laying my 2 rolls side by side like this, and then I'm almost rolling them forward with the paper like I'm wrapping them like a present, and then I kind of gently tuck the paper underneath, and then I'm going to make a little tiny mark with my scissors right here, showing that that's where I need to cut my paper straight across. So you'll want to use a straight edge so that you can cut your paper in a straight line. And then you'll take your scissors and you'll just cut straight across your piece of paper, like so. And then you have your piece of paper. Now that you have your 2 toilet paper rolls with their piece of paper ready, you're going to take them both and roll them up again. And this time what you can do is make another slit in the paper in the middle going this way. So this is about where they divide. I'm going to make a little cut in my paper right here. And then again, I'll use my straight edge to cut my piece of paper in a straight line. Now, if they aren't perfectly straight, that's okay. I got a little crooked, so I'm just going to cut it out so it's in a straight line. And then you'll have your two pieces of paper ready to wrap around your toilet paper rolls. So you'll take one and place it over top like this. And then this is where I'm going to use my tape to tape it down. If you don't have tape at home, you can also use glue. That should work just fine. You'll probably just have to wait a few minutes before you roll it like this just to make sure your glue stays in place. But if you're using tape, you'll tape it across like that and then continue to roll it so that it completely covers your toilet paper roll. And then you'll tape it down just like so. And then once you have one done, you can do your other toilet paper roll as well, same way. And you'll roll it all the way this way and tape it down again. And then they're both ready. Now, what you will do is you need to have them connect together like these two so that you can look out both of them at the same time. So what I did, there's a couple of different things you could do depending on what you're using. So I have another kind of tape I'm going to use to tape them together like this around. But if you don't have tape and you were using glue for this part when you're putting the paper on, you can use glue as well to glue them together. It's kind of the same thing though. You'll want to wait until the glue dries before you move on to any of the next steps. But if you're using tape, then what you can do is lay out your tape on your table like this. You can put a little piece on the table so that it stays. And then you'll put your toilet paper rolls right down in the middle next to each other like this. And then you can gently lift your tape off the table and roll it over. And then lengthen your piece of tape a little bit longer. And then take both of these and gently roll them into the tape. Just like this. And then once it's all connected, you can take your scissors and cut it so that they look just like this. So now that we have our two pieces of toilet paper rolls connected, we have the majority of our binoculars finished. But for this last step, we want to add on a string so that they can hang around our neck like this. So remember, we're going on a bear hunt around Finley. So we want to have them connected to our neck at all times in case we see a bear all of a sudden and we want to take a quick look at it. So for this next part, if you don't have a hole punch at home, what you can do is you could take a pen and try to poke a hole gently into your toilet hole. I would just make sure you have a parent around to help you with that because it can be a little hard to poke a hole through these, but it can be done if you don't have a hole punch at home. But if you do have a hole punch, What I did for mine is I put 2 holes on the top of the toilet paper rolls, right in the middle, just like that. Then I did the same thing on the other side, just like this. And then you'll just take your string and you can loop it through really any which way, but you'll just want to make sure that the string goes through both of the holes and that you pull all the way through. And then once you have it all the way through, you'll take your scissors and cut your last piece off. And then you'll just want to make a nice little knot so that they are all tied off. And then your binoculars are ready to use for your bear hunt. So yeah, that was our craft today and our book. Stay tuned to more videos from our Facebook page, and happy bear hunting!